my caseload, and I would explain to her exactly how things were on my caseload, and she was not acceptant of the positive outcomes I've been creating for the families.
Okay.
She was a little heavy-handed, I guess is the best way to describe that.
Okay.
Felt like I was being pushed out, and I'm like, well, let's just go.
Okay. So after Adapt Enterprises, where did you work?
I had a brief employment at Association for Retarded Citizens, AARC, here in Jacksonville.
Okay.
When I worked for Adapt Enterprises, I was not here. I was in Ormond Beach, just by the way, I was out of area, but in the Northeast Florida area. So I worked for the ARC, Association for Retarded Citizens. I applied for Department of Children and Families shortly thereafter, which was right across the street on Davis Street, and got the position there. I had also applied with a position for an executive program director at Naval Station Mayport through the YMCA of the USA. So I had worked there trying to help single sailor program, trying to help them acclimate into sailor life. The community here is new to them, things like that, to be able to help them out as well.
Okay. So let's backtrack a little bit. AARC, you said it was brief. Do you know how brief?
I don't even know I was there 6 months because I really wanted to work for the state.
Roughly speaking, 6 months, probably less.
Could have been. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll do 6 months or less.
Mm-hmm. It's a long time ago.
And then you said, right. And then you said you applied for a job with DCF.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What made you change the path?
Well, it's not really a path change. You're still dealing with children. You're still dealing with adults and positive outcomes for families and things like that. I really wanted to work with the state because they have better benefits.
Okay.
It would have been a salary increase as well.
Okay.
I also worked for the Jacksonville Children's Commission that was here as well. As far as dates and times and things like that, I'd have to go get my resume and get it to you.
Okay. All right. So how long you've been with DCF?
DCF, the first time around, was about 2 years. I was basically the court worker as well as investigator while I was there. Mm-hmm. And then Judge Gidding and McCallum asked me to come over there and work for them at the courthouse as a court liaison, dependency liaison, between the investigators and the court system, reopening cases perhaps, things like that. So I left there and went over to the courthouse. And that was about 2001-ish, because I was in the academy shortly thereafter. I graduated from the academy in 2002, and that's when I had left that and went into police work.
Okay. So, DCF, you said a couple of times, so were you hired by DCF twice?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So
I went back in, was that 2000? Late 2012, early 2013.
Okay.
I was there for approximately a year.
Okay, and the Naval Station Mayport?
I want to say that it was in the late 90s, and the Jacksonville Children's Commission as well. That was before the DCF.
Okay.
So I had to kind of back up there for you.
Okay. How long you've been with Naval Station?
I can tell you I worked with Jacksonville Children's Commission before Naval Station Mayport.
So,
yeah. There's a lot of...
Yeah.
Had I known, I would have probably brought you everything. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'll request it. All right. So you mentioned Police Academy. At what point in your career path you decided to go to Police Academy?
In 2001.
In 2001?
Right.
Was there a particular reason?
My husband and I both were endeavoring to go toward the police academy. We have family that have been police officers in the past. And so we went and took the TABE test. He decided not to because he has a self-established business. And I decided, well, I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. I did the night academy for 9 months. And 2001 to 2002, I was hired on in the Jacks Beach Police Department, December 2002.
Okay. And what was your position that you were hired on?
As a police officer.
And what were your duties at that time?
Well, as a patrol officer, your duties are basically to patrol the area, respond to calls, make an officer presence, assist anyone you can in the community. A lot of times having a presence created a lot of your own calls and own interactions with the community, which was always very helpful.
And when were you actually hired? Was it in 2002, right upon finishing the academy?
I believe it was December 2002.
Okay. And how long you worked there for?
2000 till, was it September 2016? However, December 2005 to June 2006, I was at the Anchorage Police Department because we were planning on relocating to Anchorage.
I'm sorry, you were.
Anchorage Police Department, Alaska. Yes, ma'am. And I was in the crossover academy up there when we left and came back here.
Okay. Did you receive any kind of training at the police academy?
Yes.
What kind of training did you receive?
Basic law enforcement training. The certificate's actually called the BLE, Basic Law Enforcement Certification.
Okay. Is that the only certification that you have?
Can you be more specific? As far as
Police
general police
officer.
training?
Yes.
Well, I have, I was certified to become a DARE teacher, so I instructed kids in the classroom, certified as far as running radar. There's a lot of different certifications that you can actually obtain once you're an officer. There's plenty, and I can probably get you all the certificates. I know they're on file at the, there's several.
Okay.
I just can't recall all of them off the top of my head.
That's all right. So upon your being hired by the Jacks Beach Police Department, did you receive any training from the police department?
When you're first hired in the onboarding process, you go over basic policy and procedure. You're given a disc with all the policy procedure manual on there. You are assigned to a field training officer, to which, you know, you're basically on a probationary period, and you have to have evaluations in order to pass through and keep your job there. Basically, you have to pass your field training officer.
Okay. Is that something ongoing? How often do you have to pass?
There's 4 phases,
Okay.
basically, and once you pass that, you're fully hired without any issue or any problem. It's not an ongoing process. It's basically the first part of after you're hired, you go through a field training.
Okay. And what do they make you actually do?
Well, they're helping you acclimate to things at the police department, such as the policies and procedures, such as the 10 codes, the signal codes, anything from being on time is late and early is on time, to you don't want to be an admin. It's the general basics of how patrol officers deal in a regular daily life at the Jacksonville Beach Police Department.
Okay.
Well, in the car and out of car, in roll call, out of roll call. There's a lot involved with that.
Okay. And did they test you on the training somehow?
It's an evaluation process.
Okay.
It's not like a written test you take.
Okay, so who evaluates you?
Whichever FTO you are put with, each phase you typically have a different FTO's field training officer, so you have a different one for each phase. And then there is a supervisor over that as well.
Okay. So were you at some point Officer Black's FTO? Or?
No, ma'am, I was never trained to be an FTO.
Okay. All right. How tall are you?
I think I'm about 5'8" now.
No? You were taller?
5'9". I'm shrinking as I get older, yes, ma'am.
All right, and what is your weight?
182.
So, do you recall the events of February 14, 2014, involving Miss Maria Smith?
Yes, to the best of my recollection, I can share. Yes.
Okay, can you please describe to me what actually happened on that day?
Well, I came in kind of in the middle of the situation. I would say that I was called to the Saley Court to do a female pat down. So I arrived at the Saley Court. I conducted a pat down. and then I was in